Welcome to the Melan student photo exhibition. My name is T.C. Lin, and this is the exhibition of this semester's work for my students. We're out here in Banqiao at the 435 Art Space. And this is the forward to the photo book that we do every semester. And I sort of give my students some thoughts on the work, and I usually end with a quote. And this semester's quote is William Klein, when he says, "Be yourself. I much prefer seeing something, even if it's clumsy, that doesn't look like someone else's work." And this is the photo book cover. We choose a student's work for the cover art. That's the front cover. This is the back cover here. We chose two. That's Min He He on the top there, and Melan on the bottom. And this is Liu Guanxian. And this book that we did is called Between Realities. You can see the various cover art. This is the first group. We divide the students into groups of 5 or 6, 4, 5, or 6. And this is their edit for the semester. Very nice work, and a nice presentation of the work. I particularly like this one here. This is Shu Chun. And it's an empty scene. It's not what you would think of traditionally as street photography, but I think it evokes quite a bit of atmosphere. And it's a good observation. This is also hers. It's a nice little moment with a taxi driver. This is Huang Xiuhua. Little moment on the street. All in all, it's a really interesting set of pictures, and I sort of like the way they've set it out on the wall there. This is the second group, group 2, and they have these. It's a very orderly affair with the presentation, and they also have these on the table. Very imaginative. This is a very nice, interesting edit that they did about aliens. And you can see my shadow. But anyway. The photos look particularly good large, I think. They blow up quite nicely in the prints. This is a very imaginative one. This is Shu Su. Very good observation. They're all good observations. We had 2 judges in addition to myself this year, and they expressed a lot of admiration for the work, which is gratifying. It's good to encourage the students, and that's why we have this exhibition. It makes them feel that they're progressing and they're on the right track in their observations. And so I'm quite happy to see this exhibition of work. And this is group 3's section. Also an interesting selection of work. One of the judges was particularly enamored of this shot by Sa Junyu, Michael Sa. It's a very Taiwanese scene. And they also have the work on the table. And the 2 judges we had this year were Jack Simon and Dimitris Makrianagis. I think I'm pretty much mangling that name. I'm sorry, Dimitris. And they were both very complimentary about the work of the students. And this is group 4. Very strong group, very good work. I particularly like this shot by Liu. I think his English name is Sid Liu. Very imaginative. And also Melan again. I actually was there when we were on a photo walk when we took this shot. And I saw her cross the street and run over to get this shot. So kudos to her for observing and seeing that shot. Now our judges are both doctors, actually. Jack is a psychiatrist and Demetrius is an autoimmune doctor. So it's interesting to get their take on the photos this semester, from various standpoints. And this is the work of Group 5. We have 2 photographers here, both very strong. This is Wei Xiuhui's work, very strong shadow and geometry work. Good use of color as well. And this is Ni Yinfang, and with her series Between Realities, which we named the book after. And I particularly like this shot. This is a wonderful shot. If it would focus. Yeah. It's just a very simple and very evocative shot. It makes you wonder what's going on. But all of the shots are nice. It's a good series. Very simple and very evocative. And so that is my simple introduction to the exhibit. It's on until the end of February out here in Banqiao at the 435 Activity Center, or whatever the name is. Forget what the English name is, but it's online. And I'm very happy to see all of this good work up on the walls for everyone to see. I teach photography at Zhong Zheng Community College in Taipei, Taiwan. And each semester, all the students do photo books. And then I talk about them on videos. So these are the ones from this semester. Let's begin. This is Zhang Yongsun's photo book. Very simple, no title, glossy finish. And he's done, there's not an overall arching theme really, but it's a nice pairing. There's some nice pairings up in here. Daily life, sort of poses are the same. The crosses, very simple composition. Workers, people framed in windows in sort of semi-silhouettes. Workers moving boards. Children and animals popping out of various places. This is a nice little thing. The barber and the person adjusting the god costume there. Poses again. Dogs. And this is also a nice one. The one with the 2 kids and the 2 dogs. It's a nice juxtaposition. Very simple, but effective. That's Zhang Yongsun. So this is Gong Yifang's photo book, and this is her first semester. She's just starting out. So you're seeing a lot of children and animals, sort of easy subjects, which is fine. This is how you start. You start where you're comfortable. But she has a good sense of composition. Children and animals mostly. These are all individual shots on no double spreads, all on the right side of the spread. It's simple but effective. There's a lot of famous photo books do that. So there's not a whole lot of emphasis on the juxtaposition between photos on a spread. It's all just single photos. But that's fine too. She's just starting out. But I think she's got a strong start. And she's a hard worker, so I expect great things from her later on down. The Line. That's Gong Yifang. And this is a very interesting book from Ni Yinfang. And she's decided, because her topic is the MRT, the subway here in Taipei, she has made a little bag, a subway bag with a subway map on it as the cover, which is quite inventive, and I like that. Taipei MRT. And she's using double spreads. And she has a good sense of composition and good pairings. Very simple. I mean, sleeping poses are the same. Lots of people sleeping in the MRT. Feet. People reading, sort of like juxtapositions, left and right, geometrical, pointing and points, the arrow, people cleaning. So it's just life on the MRT, basically, which is a nice little set. Most students just do what they think of their best photos from the semester, but she actually has done a series based on the subject, which is advanced, and I'm happy to see it. And I really like the packaging, the bag packaging, because you can just like take it with you like that. Anyway, that's Ni Yinfang. And this is Liu Guangxian's photo book, Obstacle. And he has done an interesting series based on constraintments. And it's actually quite good. This is probably one of my favorite of all of the photo books. The policeman and the guy pissing on the wall there. It's not always obvious, but it's interesting, and it makes you think when you're looking at these pairings of photos. And it's not only constraints in the meaning, it's also geometrically aligned, which is nice. The whole line of sight thing there. And it's sort of like a similar geometric style as well as a constrained meaning. The ladder and the door, the blocking the way. So I really enjoy it when students come up with these really nice concepts and make compelling series. It's short, but it's sweet. I mean, this could be an actual photo book. I think if he develops it and he works it, he could make this into something that's publishable, certainly. And they're all strong photographs, so very good job by Liu Guangxian. So this is Lonely Ocean. This is Wei Xiuhui's, or Julie Wei's book for the semester. And this is actually, look at the binding on this. This is like very professional. On the theme of loneliness. And I guess the title arises from this composition here at the window. But it's basically people by themselves in various situations. And she's done it so that there are a lot of them are constrained geometrically as well as emotionally, which is nice. And it's just double spreads with a nice little dialogue between the two on either side. Very simple compositions, ending with a lonely bird on the wire. Very professional packaging. Could be expanded a bit, but this has promise as well. All in all, it's good. It's a really good job. That's Lonely Ocean by Julie Wei Xiuhui. This is Neo Wei's photo book. It's a very small one, which is fine. Glossy, matte on the inside. And this is basically centered around temple ceremonies in Taiwan, which is a fascinating subject. And he's done double spreads across the border, which is fine because it lies flat. But that's an interesting way of doing it. He's got a good eye for composition, and it's a good summation of the activity. And it's good that he had a topic for the photo book. It's more reportage than strictly street, which is fine too. I mean, everyone starts from someplace, and I think that the addition of the crossing the border double spreads adds emphasis to a lot of the series. And there's some very nice work in here as well. So that's Niowei's book. And this is Melan, her photo book for the semester. This is quite well done. I like the little collage on the cover there. I like the packaging with the serrated cover. It just says photo book there, Shinjin. Black backgrounds, which is good. Good compositions, very simple, and good pairings between the spreads. She does a lot of more abstract work. The washing there, the washing the dog and the kid. People in the streets. She has a very good technique of being subtle and capturing interesting moments. This is nice, the silhouette sort of thing. Heads popping out. Feet. Again, she keeps it simple. This is a very nice one. I quite like this one with the back of the horse there. The person scared of the fireworks and the actual fireworks, which is a nice cause and effect, or effect and cause. And generally, she works light very well. The tail of the cat and the eye. It's very simple, but it's very effective. She's a good photographer. She's been with us for quite a while, and she's developed tremendously over the course of her studies. So that is good work by Melan. So these are 2 photo books by Yuyan Wan, different versions of her series. And it's black with a spiral, so you're not going to get any cross spreads. But she's done her Fantasy Tour of the Galaxy series, just sort of an abstract series. That's the problem with the glossy prints, is that they stick together, so you have to be careful when you're doing that. But it's a pleasant series. It's very abstract. And then she's done. See it sticking. Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of got a mystical feel to it. And then she's got another version of the same thing. I would say just stick with one and put it in there, and don't worry about versions, but that's just me. And this is the other one. This is also another version of the series. They're good photographs. A lot of them are photographs of interesting things rather than technically really interesting on their own. But, you know, you have to start from one point, and that's the one point to start from. Anyway, that's Yuyan Wan. This is Lini Ling's photo book. Plain black, tied up binding, and prints, cut out prints. Very simple. But what I find really interesting about this photo book is that it's all about clouds, which sort of reminds me a bit of what Eggleston did when he was hired to film a wedding, and he just took pictures of clouds and gave them a book of clouds, which is kind of funny. But again, I'm interested when the students do a theme rather than just, oh, these are my best photos. And they try to put something together based on this theme. And a lot of it is basically skylines and clouds in various contexts, and different kinds of light, different kinds of clouds. It's kind of like on the borders of street photography, I would say, but it's still within the fold, I suppose. And using the geometry of the clouds and the buildings makes for a kind of interesting little series of pictures. And ending on a pair of rainbows. So that's a nice ending, and it's nicely put together. It has a topic to it, which is good. Anyway, that's Leolimey. This is Cai Jiarong's photo book, and she has done a little interesting little cover here. It looks like a sort of Christmas edition of the book, which is clever. And what she does in this, it's got black backgrounds and white borders. She starts out with a hand sort of theme, and the whole book sort of goes in and out of a sort of hand theme, along with various other things. A lot of kids, of course. Go back to the hand. Just the hand itself is probably not enough, but she's done, nice marker there. She's done more with it than that. She goes back into colors, slices of daily life, and back to feet. And then we have the feet again, and ending with one of those street mannequins. So it has a bit of a theme to it. It sort of goes into and out of the theme throughout the book, which is okay. It could be stronger, but all in all, it's an effective work. That's Cai Zhong. So this is Shu Chun, and he's a new student, and I particularly like what he's done here with this binding, this sort of leaf thing, and the brown paper inside. And what he's done, he sort of made an opposite photo book, which starts from the back and goes to the front, which is oddly enough the way I usually look at photo books. So actually this makes sense to me. I'm left-handed, but we'll look at it this way. And it's all glossy paper. Again, I'm not really a fan of using color as backgrounds because that influences our view of the subject. Also glossy, tends to stick together, tends to reflect a lot of light. But all in all, he's made a lot of progress towards shooting people, and he's got a good geographic sense. It's one of the hurdles that new students have to overcome when they start is daring to shoot people, and he's made a lot of progress in that respect. He started out with lots of backs and frightened shots, and there's still some of those in here, but all in all, he's made. You can sort of see the progress that he's made over the semester, and I sort of expect him to continue this progress in subsequent semesters. See, there's a lot of faraway shots, a lot of off-angle shots, people not looking, people sort of facing away from the camera, kids, of course. Situations in which there's no danger of being discovered, basically, which are safe. But that's where you start. That's where you start with the photography, with street photography. But there's some in here that he's getting close. He's daring to get close up, and so I think he's making a lot of progress. He didn't fill all the pages, which is kind of weird, but here's the very end there, ending at a temple, and of course backs. Too many backs, but again, we all start from somewhere, and that is Shu Chun. So these two are from Lin He, or Sophia Lin, and she's made one sort of a general series. The dogs, people at markets, people behind glass, in front of glass, various coverings at markets. This is sort of a general thing with paired up similarities. You can see the geometric and also the poses are similar. So this is sort of a more general work. There's a lot of good work in here, but it's not really strong as far as theme goes. But it's pleasant. And this one is her series for the semester, which is called Jiujie, which is sort of means tangled. And when I say tangled, I mean not only physically tangled, but emotionally tangled. And so you start out with the physically tangled up, and sort of both emotionally and physically tangled up. And then you have a lot of emotional entanglements, which I find to be a much deeper and more emotionally resonant way to put the photos together. And what she's done is she's taken this small series and sort of expanded it. So I get the feeling that a lot of these are sort of the B edits to the original series. And so it's not as strong as the original series was. But it's a way to proceed. There's still some strong ones in here. I think a lot of them might not have worked for the original series, but they could still. Some of them would have probably fit with the original A pick. But it's all a work in progress. Anyway, it's good that she's trying. And that's pretty good for both to do to work as hard to make 2 photo books for a semester. It's nice to see. That's Lina He. This is 5月's photo book, Julie Wu's, 形形色色. So she did this nice cute little graphic that vaguely resembles her, I suppose, and a big-ass camera, holding a big-ass camera. Semi-glossy on white. The printing is not great on a lot of these. It's kind of hazy. It makes me feel that a lot of them have been cropped. That may or may not be the case, but it's the feeling that I get from these. This is her 3rd semester. So she's just sort of still getting used to photographing people. So you got a lot of sort of haphazard, fearful shots that she's used to crop, and I think she also uses her cell phone for a lot of these. But she's slowly getting a feel for it. I think that when she gets a little bit more confidence, she's going to do some really interesting work. She got some wood. This is actually a pretty decent shot. So she's got a good graphical sense. All she needs is a little bit more confidence, and I think she's going to do well. That's 5月. So this is Shu Chun's photo book for the semester. A plain black with gray background, which is a nice and neutral gray. She has some interesting conceptual work in here. Nice observation. This is also very nice observation. It's abstract and it's emotive. A lot of it makes sense geographically. She has a good geometric sense, and a good sense of color as well. The stripes and the stripes there, and the purples here. She's not afraid to take shots at night. She's attracted by colors. She's still a little bit shy, but she's improved a lot in that respect over the past few semesters. The centering of subjects could be better, but all in all, I think she's really on the right track. This is nice, the cat, spotted cat and the spots on the ground. She's come a long way, and I think that she will progress a lot in the future. So I look forward to seeing what she does. That's Shu Chun. This is Sa Junyu, Michael Sa, and he's been with us for quite a few semesters, on and off. What he's done is sort of have the dark green background preface there. He's done a series based on a couple's relationship, and they sort of expanded that to a larger series in the book. There's some good photos in here. I do feel that the files seem to have been, they look like they've been sharpened, over-sharpened, but I'm not exactly sure how he arrived at this result. But in any case, the compositions are usually good. He has a good eye. He could be a bit more confident. He's a very tall person, so I guess he sort of sticks out in the crowd, and I know how that feels. But he manages to get some interesting compositions. You can see his vantage point is usually from above. I think that the mixing of the black and white is kind of weird. I understand why he did it, but in the sort of context of this series, it makes sense, but visually it's kind of jarring. So, I mean, that's his choice, and this is all their own choices. You know, it could work, but it's an interesting attempt to address the subject, and so that's always good to see from students. Anyway, that's Michael Sa, Sa-Chun-Yu. And this is Xu Xiuqing's photo book, plain blue cover, no title. It's a very basic effort, which is fine. That's not the whole point of a photo book. She drew a little leaf there, but that's nice. Xiuqing has a very observant character, and she does some really interesting work. She takes her photography very seriously, I think, even though she doesn't have a lot of time. She's very busy with her real job, and yet she manages to get some very interesting observations in her photos. A lot of backs, of course. This is a nice one there. I like that. But the tarp and the shadows, I like this one a lot. Very good atmosphere. She's a very good atmospheric photographer. And she's come a long way over the various semesters that she has taken the course. So laying down boxes and ending with this sort of abstract work. White background, good quality prints, very simple but effective photo book. That's Xu Xiuqing. So this is Leo Tong's photo book, plain gray, thick spiral binding, black background, high quality prints. What he's done here is take his series for the semester, which is sort of everybody exercises, a theme of everybody exercising. They're not really exercising necessarily, but they're sort of doing these poses that could be interpreted as exercises. Sort of the way people move in the course of their daily lives that may seem like an exercise. So it's an interesting concept. Mostly good compositions. You know, some of these are actually people exercising. I would say if you're going to do this theme, it would probably be, if you were to develop it further in the future, it might be best to go get something, make it more purely incidental exercises rather than including the actual exercises. However, it's a good attempt, and it's an interesting concept, and most of the photos are pretty good. He's shown a lot of improvement over the semesters that he's been with us, and he's a very earnest and serious photographer. So I think that he's improving a lot, and he's going to improve a lot more. Anyway, that's Leo Tong. So this is Huang Xiuhua's photo book, and she's done a interesting vertical format for the semester. Sort of an off-white background, large prints, crossing the gutter, and which is okay because it lies flat. But it's unusual to see. You don't really see a lot of that with the students. They usually just do one photo per page. So it's good to see people doing the experimentation. And because she does a lot of vertical shots, good geometric balance. A lot of them run up to the gutter, which is kind of unbalanced, but it's not a deal breaker. Lines, people being covering themselves with jackets and stuff. The pairings are very nice. People on scooters. Because she does a lot of vertical shots, it makes sense to have this format. That's a nice shot there. And she sort of somewhat makes up for the fact that it's a horizontal format with the crossing of the gutter for the horizontal shots. So it's clever, and there's a lot of good work in here. This is, I think, her 4th semester or something. She's come a long way since she started, and I think that she's got a lot of potential. This one sort of falls into the gutter, I think, because of the binding. This one as well. So it's not exactly foolproof, in my opinion, but it's a good attempt. Anyway, it's good to see people experimenting, and that's one way to do it, to see the sort of pitfalls and the advantages of different formats, vertical and horizontal, and also the disadvantages and advantages of crossing the gutter when you're doing a photo book. So that's Huang Xiuhua. This is Gao Meiling's photo book for the semester. She has the dates of the semester there. Black glossy. She has a catalog in the first page. Not sure why, but okay. Black background, white border. This is also an expansion of her series for the semester, which is sort of based on a Chinese character that has a person in a box and sort of people. It's a metaphor for confinement, which doesn't always get across in the photos. I think this could have been stronger if it had a larger depth of focus. But in general, the people in boxes theme goes through. But then I think there's a lot of the B edits coming through in this, and sort of basic pairings between the pages, similar poses, similar geometry. In general, it's nice, and you can see the pairings. The pairings don't really cross through the book, so it's not a really solid series for a book. But it's kind of strange that there seems to be a little bit of very similar compositions. Like this one was before we had that. This one here. I would say generally pick one, unless you're maybe put them together and make a point of the two disparate but similar scenes, like Elliot Erwitt did with his book. But if you're going to do that, I would say just make the whole book that, and then make that the point of the book, like he did. Doing it as a one-off and separating them within the book, it doesn't really work, in my opinion. Still, it's an experimentation. These are all experiments, and this is the way that people learn. So that's Gao Meiling. So this is Hong Zhuoyu's, Vicky Hong's photo book for the semester. And it's basically a record of the Qinsang Temple in Wanhua in Taipei, it's good to see a series done on a topic. And a lot of them are good photos. Basically, one way to get good at street photography when you're starting out is to go to these type of activities, and because there's going to be a lot of photographers there, what you can do is focus on the borders, the activity, the human activity on the borders of the activity, and sort of capture scenes of humanity, such as these, sort of real scenes, but not on display as part of the activity, as it were. So a lot of these are good. It's sort of mixed with some of the actual activity itself, which, it can work if it's done right. But a lot of these are sort of like observers and their interactions with the people involved in the activity, which is, it works. It's a good series. No borders on black background. Very simple binding. And it has a clear topic. So that's Hongzhou. So this is Leolimey's photo book for the semester. And what she's done is she's taken a calendar and pasted some newspaper print on it with various random words on it as a cover. And then she sort of pasted the photos all over the calendar on the inside. And sometimes the background is black, sometimes it's of other pictures. It's kind of haphazard looking with the white spiral binding there. There's a lot of pictures in this. There's some good ones. Not all of them are good. Things like this seems like confusing to look at because you've got this background of a photo and then sort of like very crudely cut black background, and then the photo sort of, it's confusing to look at. It's kind of like this is a similar thing. I don't think this is the best way to show photos, to be honest. There's some good photos in here, but I think that they're compromised by the sort of haphazard use of the calendar. It's clever, but I'm not sure if it's the most effective way. There's some good photos in there. She's a good photographer. A lot of kids, of course. But I think that they could have been arranged in a more effective way. It's kind of, you could say it's sort of concept art to have the calendar background in there, but the pictures, to be honest, the pictures on pictures doesn't really work for me. Again, it's a vertical, but I think that the vertical here is not so much to emphasize, it's not the best format for the pictures, but it's more of just a way to put as many pictures in here as possible, which I'm not sure is the most effective way to create a photo book. It's sort of it's kind of a jumble, which is kind of a shame because the pictures, there's a lot of good pictures in here. But again, we're experimenting. We're trying to see what works and what doesn't work. In my opinion, this doesn't really work as well as it could. But again, that's how we learn. So that's Leolimey. So that is our photo books for the semester. And Taiwan has been extremely fortunate in that we've been able to go out and shoot because we have not had any shutdowns or any lockdowns during this year of 2020. Due to our government's excellent COVID-19 response, which I think today remains almost unparalleled in the world. And so we're fortunate that we're able to go out in the world and get our pictures. And here's hoping that the rest of the world can do that soon as well. Thank you very much. This is TC Lin, and we'll see you next time.